What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Van City Beats, Eats, and More with the one and only Laine Butler, my dear old friend, super talented human being. Laine, tell all the beautiful people all the different kinds of art you do.
Oh, so much. I'm a music maker. I'm a visual artist. I'm a educator.
Ooh.
Yeah, I decided to throw that in the resume recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like through a workshop, now an educator.
Now I'm an educator.
This is true.
Yeah, I do audio-visual works and a lot of digital artwork.
Yes. Amazing. Oh, if you're hearing any background sounds of crying from a beautiful dog.
The most beautiful dog.
The most beautiful dog. This is Zia, our chocolate lab on set today, who needs our love and attention. I did a little stopover. Okay, Zia. She's like, it's time for this. I did a stopover this morning. I called them yesterday. I was like, save me some goodies. Do you recognize this logo?
I have no idea. Is that a waffle?
Yes.
What?
It is a waffle wheelchair with a coyote in it. And actually, it's not just any sort of waffle. It's a Stroop waffle.
Oh, I love Stroop waffles. Oh.
That makes me so happy to hear. Okay,
I was
so...
always like, Stroop, there it is.
Hey! Dad joke number one. Everyone keep tabs.
Yeah, there's a camera.
If you've got drinks on board, coffee, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, otherwise, please take a shot every time Laine does a dad joke, because that's going to be on the show today. I got Johnny's Stroop waffles.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Yes.
Amazing. Can I put it over the coffee?
Yes.
The classic Stroop.
And then we have one of the meat pies.
Oh my goodness.
Have you ever had an Australian meat pie, Laine?
I have.
Yes.
And it was great. Whoa, that looks deadly. I came on the show so I could eat, so I'm pretty happy.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the part of the eats.
That's what I figured, yeah.
And that was the best idea of the concept of the show, is to include food, because it's, the best part.
It is the best part.
So this one is beef with mushroom.
Ooh.
Quick Google search told me that Aussie meat pies, also known as footy pies, are often served during rugby, football games. They are a homemade, what do you call this? Like comfort food for the soul.
So if I go to like a stadium to watch a rugby game, I could get one of these?
This is what I believe is true.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Have you been to Australia?
I haven't, but I'd like to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Australia was one of like the top places I wanted to go, just because it was like, these people are like, have a British accent, but with a,
Yeah, a twang.
A twang.
Yeah.
Not this kind of sip a teacup, but like a twang. Please break in.
Oh, sweet.
We get to do our first bite together.
Amazing.
Haha.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was really cool to see that this pop-up existed, and I was like, oh, what should we bring as a yummy, tasty treat for Laine? And this felt like this was the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know what you're saying. Wow, that looks great.
Are you a fan of like other pot pies, like chicken pot pie or?
Yeah, there was a lot of chicken pot pie growing up. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan of pastries.
I always like to start off with the very beginning, the very early beginnings of Laine Butler.
Oh.
And who you were as a kid, like what was that? Who were you as a kid that then informed the creative being that you are today?
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Going back.
Yes.
Well, I started playing guitar at 7.
Okay.
And I got my first guitar then. And that kind of like led me to like everything now. I ended up playing guitar for like so many years and then playing in like punk and metal bands in high school,
Amazing.
Very angsty kid.
Cancer, emotions.
So much emotion,
Yeah.
just,
that he is a fellow Cancerian.
Yes.
Born in July.
Yeah.
This is right.
Big ups to all the cancers out there,
Yes.
Mom.
Keep crying.
Yeah.
Keep feeling your feelings.
Keep feeling.
Yeah.
And then I like I was like a screamo like front man.
Stop.
Yeah, and I had like jet black hair. It was very suburban, very. It's kind of embarrassing, but I definitely like informed a lot of what I do. I think there's like yeah, there's just like a lot of you just learn how to like collaborate when you're in bands a lot easier, and of course like egos get in the way. And when you're young, you have like no idea, so you're just.
Were you that egoic frontman?
I wasn't that egoic frontman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I was. And then I played a synthesizer in a band for like one show, which is funny. And this was all in like the community centers in like Coquitlam and Port Moody.
Why does the suburb have so many feelings?
I don't know. I think just everyone feels trapped in their houses. And there's like nowhere to really like congregate and meet. And so like when you can bring people out, like kids really want that, right? Like they want a sense of community, being, you know, a sense of like feeling a part of something. And the burbs don't have that because it's like school, home, and the mall, right? So I mean, it's an easy life, but like it's
And cul-de-sacs. That's something I think about with suburbs.
yeah, cul-de-sacs are real. And then to get to the cul-de-sac behind you, you have to drive there because walking there's going to take half an hour.
Too bad you can't just like cut through people's yards.
I tried when I was
Yeah.
younger, and I would get yelled at because it was so much easier, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, I don't recommend trespassing.
No. Or try it and see what happens.
Yeah, sometimes you don't, you know, you might not get caught.
Yeah. So backtrack. As a kid, guitar was your access point
Yeah.
to creativity and art.
Yeah, my dad was like really like liked a lot of music. He also played guitar, so he taught me like first guitar songs, and there was always like music playing.
Like what? Who?
Oh yeah, he liked a lot of Steely Dan. He liked Enya, which I think
Oh
like
my God!
really informed my ambient practice. And he liked oh yeah, there's so much. He really liked Bowie. He really liked oh yeah. It was just like constant nonstop, just like radio on too. We'd hang out in like his garage and he'd play all these records. He had some Bob Marley in there too. I definitely had a, you know, reggae phase, of course, as the suburbanites tend to. Yeah, it was a very like eclectic mix of like a lot of stuff. And then friends too would always like introduce me to just cool stuff. Yeah, I had a good friend in high school. Who introduced me to a lot of like kind of post rock and more I guess like it felt like it was more like avant-garde music. It wasn't something my parents were listening to, so I was like, this is cool, like this is neat. And that just kind of, I don't know, I still listen to that kind of stuff when I'm like doing work and making art, just because it's kind of calming, soothing. There's no vocals to distract you, you know, you just get like the emotion.
Yeah.
And not really like, you know, any sort of I guess like underlying like words that could have formed things, you know.
Yeah. Or you get pulled into someone's story and then it distracts you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I'm like, I don't know how many times my heart's been broken.
So how about visual art? How did that enter your life? Were you always drawing, painting?
So then I started making like beats. You know, and I found myself emailing Eli Muro out here, who was
Shout outs to Eli.
Yeah, love Eli.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh hey, like he was running a record label called Jellyfish Records at the time, and I saw that Pomo was on it, and Pomo was from Port Moody, hence the name. You know, I don't know if I'm giving away the sauce though, you know. No. And I was like, okay, well, like maybe I can do this. So I emailed Eli, and Eli's like, I'm not taking any new bands when I'm doing this live stream at my house. And I was like, cool. So I went there, and I
the original
DJ'd.
live stream.
The original live
AKA
stream.
Ustream.
Yeah, it was like, this was before YouTube streaming or Twitch streaming.
Yeah.
The like bit rate was so low. Like all the videos, if you look at them now, they're just so pixelated. They're so pixelated.
Yeah, because you had a webcam.
Yeah, I think so. It was a
Little-
potato. Yeah.
You know, that's what I think of, the one that clips on top of the monitor on your home computer.
That's
and
what I
it's
think
like-
it was. And I think
Yeah.
they had it like in the corner of the apartment in a living room. So I DJ'd there a few times, and then they got a night at the Fox Cabaret. And they were like, oh, hey, we got projections. Like, do you know how to do that, right? And I think people thought I did because I worked at the Italian Cultural Center.
Doing audiovisual.
I was doing audiovisual. I went to school for audio engineering. and I found myself working in a studio, but it's like, you know, very intermittent work. So I got this other job doing bingo at the Italian Cultural Center, and they had like, I don't know, 6 projectors. So I was like, yeah, I totally know how to do that. And I had no idea. So I lied. And, you know,
great way to start.
You got to lie to start. You
Yeah.
know, if you want to do something, just lie that you know how to do it. And then you
figure it out.
Yeah. Always.
Straight up.
Always do
Yeah.
it. I hope I don't do that now, but I think a little bit. And yeah, so then I started doing visuals because of that. So like it was like a Wednesday once a month, and I would just like come in with my laptop, which couldn't run anything, and everything would be like very choppy and staggered and very bad looking. And I was like, oh, I really like this. And then I found myself kind of like launching headfirst into like VJing for a number of years. I ended up getting, at 18 or 19, got diagnosed with something called neurofibromatosis type 2. And I had like several brain tumors at the time, and one of them was on my auditory nerve on the left side, which is why you're on my right side, you know? And so when they did the operation, I ended up losing quite a large chunk of my hearing too. So it was all about kind of like, how do I stay creative, and like how do I reinvent myself in a way that like is still kind of true to me. And I find that like the art I make, excuse me, is very much like music related. Like all this like abstract work is like try to get those like emotions that you can get from like you know, instrumental type music, but how do you get that like visually? And it was just
sick. I never knew this about you.
Oh, really? Yeah. So I was just like, oh, hey, like let's just like keep doing this. You know, why not? And yeah, I mean, it took me to Portugal, which was really cool, and it's taken me to like, yeah, a few places, and it's just, I think like what I really like about art though is like the community you meet, right? Like it's just like, this is how you make cool friends. This is how you meet
the
like,
coolest people.
The coolest people, the most interesting people. People always have like some cool like angle to look at something, or yeah, it's I'm like, I feel really fortunate about being able to like do it, for sure. I think sometimes you can just like, you know, have something unlock something that's like deep within inside you. I hope.
This is what I like about your musical expression side of yourself as Ashwell Woodland.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because, you know, I was playing that yesterday on repeat, your album that you released last year. I also shout out to Michelle, because I love the song that you released together.
Oh, nice.
It's something in the living room.
Oh, Alone in Our Living Room, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I felt that. I was like, oh, y'all were just doing this in your living room.
We literally did it on our coffee table, and we just like set up the synthesizers, and we just like hit the record button, and we just like jammed out for like whatever it is, the 12 minutes. It's just like live off the coffee table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's exactly kind of how you described, as well as like how I feel about meditation, you know, is that you just consistently let the waves of, if it's thoughts or feelings or emotions, come up and let go, you know? At this point, it's like, as human beings, we're always wanting to feel better, trying to feel better. But like this whole life is a practice of like feeling better and feeling worse. Like it's
you gotta have both.
And it's gonna happen no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And I'll never forget one of my dear friends saying, like, whatever you resist persists. So if you're like constantly resisting an unwanted emotion or feeling, it's just gonna keep coming.
Oh, absolutely.
So then I almost find that it's actually more liberating to just like let it happen.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like it almost feels like you can just relax if you know that like, hey, these feelings or emotions are going to come no matter what. So just let them instead of resisting them. And then like a wave, it just,
I think like
continues forward.
For music, like that's been, like I kind of consider the music practice like definitely way more like therapy in that sense. Because I find that like you can really process emotions. Like the first record I made after my dad passed away. And then that was like, you know, dealing with a lot of grief, you know, losing a parent. And then I was like, yeah, I think he had this old tape deck. this old like Akai tape deck, and I'm like, I'm gonna run all this stuff through here and just like feel this out. And I didn't actually plan on releasing it. And then it was just like helping me like get through the grief. And it was just, and that's like you were saying, it was just like the waves. So there's like, that's why everything's kind of like this like distorted kind of like feeling like something's trying to escape and get out. And it was just like a great, like art therapy is awesome. You know, like I definitely recommend, you know, if you're having a bad day and you can, go paint or go make something.
Or even like sing or hum.
Yeah.
No one has to hear you.
No.
But there's actually, you know, benefits to just like releasing through your voice or hearing that hum, like sound healing, even from your own self. It's just like, you realize you just like calm down a few notches.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It really like, really takes over your nervous system and lets you process. I think because like we're also, you know, I think a lot of people try to avoid these feelings too, right? And so if you can actually like go into them, that's where you can actually do the work.
How did you get the name Ashwell Woodland?
Oh, so Ashwell was a street that my dad lived on, and then Woodland was a street I lived on. So it was kind of like a connection to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
And Woodland's a great street. A lot of good people live on this street. It's near Commercial Broadway and the Fraser Hood.
Yeah, it's
East
like kind of in
Van.
between. Yeah, it's a block away from the drive. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like walking down that street too. A lot of good trees on that street. Which it should be because it's called Woodland. So you would hope.
But
Number 2?
Number 2, take a sip, my friend. Should we crack into the Stroop waffle?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You wanted to dip in the
I didn't
coffee, didn't you?
coffee. I did.
Wow.
Kind of minty. Nope.
Is that
My
gum in your
palate-
mouth from before?
Yeah.
What would you say is one of your most favorite projects or rewarding projects you've ever worked on?
That's a good question.
I like the 3-tiered O.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I've worked on a lot of stuff.
Yes, you have. And we've worked on stuff together.
Yeah, that was a fun, actually. The IMUR show
Yes.
in what is now Village Studios, the Celebrities Underground.
Yeah, back in the day.
That was cool. That was sweet.
Tell us about that project.
So Cassie
It doesn't have to be one of your favorites. I want to hear about that still, but you could talk about this one.
Okay. I like this one a lot, though. So I used to live with a band member of a band called IMUR.
Oh, yeah.
And Cassie and I got commissioned to do the stage design, right, for the show. And it was like their album release party, I think. Was that it?
Yes, for Little Death.
Yeah.
Which was one of my favorite albums that came out of them.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was
Honestly,
so
the
good.
production on that, like
The artwork.
the artwork, did I do the artwork? I did the artwork.
Was it you?
Yeah, was it like the weird spirally thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was me. Eli did the shirt design,
That's it.
and that shirt I still wear all the time.
I
It's one of
didn't
my
get a
favorite shirts.
shirt.
You didn't buy a shirt? I had to buy a shirt.
No, I don't even remember that there were shirts.
Yeah, they were like long sleeve shirts. Oh, that was for 333.
That's the one I have. 333.
I think I did
the album that came after.
I think I did the artwork for that one and not the first one.
No, I thought Eli did that one.
I think Eli did that one. Doesn't matter.
Continue.
But we ended up we used like PVC pipe and we were going to back project. So they had like more band members for that show, right?
Mm-hmm. Chris Kudo.
It was a percussionist and then somebody
I think
else.
it was 2 percussionists.
Oh yeah, a drummer and then a percussionist.
Maybe Timmy Boom Bap. I can't remember.
I don't remember. But we ended up building with like some scrim. I remember like going to the scrim in like South Van and like checking all these different fabrics, which I still have.
Yes.
Which I use because it's great. And then we rear projected visuals onto it. And then there was like plants on the stage, wasn't there? The lighting was awesome.
The plants was my thing, is what happened. That was like, so yeah, doing the space design aspect. There was a friend connected to the band who had access to a whole movie set. What do you call this? Inventory of all these plants. And 2 trucks and my car later, loaded with all these plants, real and fake. Plus, we built stuff in my studio.
Yep.
I made some like paper
Shapeshifter
birch.
studios?
Yes,
Right.
Built some paper birch tree things with lights, and then we just like made the Celebrities Underground, now Village Studios, this like greenhouse, kind of this vibe.
It actually very much this vibe.
Yeah.
With purple light.
That was a really fun project.
That was a
working
great
on
project.
That with you.
That was fun, yeah. I enjoyed that one. That was a good one. Yeah, that one was a blast. Having the studio space, too, was great, because then we could, like, go in and actually build the stuff.
Yeah. I was up on, like, a 20-foot ladder.
Yeah.
Building these, like, birch paper tree, blue lit-up things. That was a whole era.
Yeah, that was an era. Are you doing any more of that kind of stuff? Or?
You know, it might happen in the future.
Oh.
Yes.
Something's percolating.
Well, it's kind of crazy that we're talking about, this time that was like 10 years ago, which was like my era of creating what I called multi-sensory experiences and,
MSE.
Yeah, we'll just coin that now.
Yeah,
MSC.
MSE.
In today's day and age, the word immersive is the big buzzword, and people are creating immersive experiences and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that sounds like what I was calling MSC back in the day.
Exactly.
And you see that? I just used it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's kind of like what I'm entering into for this next chapter of my life, where I've been like, I really want to get back into doing this. And I think at that time when I was doing it a lot, it was because I had a corporate job. So it was like self-producing, self-funding, all of these things.
Yeah.
And I had a studio space to do stuff. But that burnt me out a lot, especially during COVID, post-COVID. I realized like I'm still recovering from burnout. It takes a while.
It takes a while. I think I'm like feeling you on that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the art world is a lot easier, but it's actually like so much work, and then you don't get paid well. It's like long hours when you do it, and I mean it's cool to have like a project, but once it's done, it's like done.
Well, and I want to say like you can get paid well.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, it's usually going down a corporate route, where a lot of the time it has like an agenda for capitalism
100%.
versus your own creative vision and what you want to do.
Oh, 100%.
I still want you to answer the question about your favorite project.
Recently I just did a project in Bangkok, which was cool. It was like LED pillars.
Ooh.
At this place called True Park Digital West. I think it's like a huge canvas for like technology. And then the roof was like different slats of screens. So I built this like Piece and Touch Designer, which is a program I tend to use a lot. And it was to promote actually an art show that was happening that night, which was a lot of fun. They kind of just were like, do whatever you want. And those gigs are nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
When they pay you and they let you do what you want.
Those are my favorite.
Yes.
Those are my favorite. And that is like going down the corporate world, but like because this was more like art adjacent, I think that's why they were like, just have fun, and then send us stuff. So that one was cool. Mutech 2 years ago with Nancy Lee and Kieran Bumber. That one was awesome.
What was that project?
So
did that have to do with Union?
That was Union. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we got to do Union in a dome.
Yes.
And so I got to make some cool visual pieces for that, working with like assets as well provided by Ian, Nancy's partner, and it was wild, but there was like so much frustration behind that project because I was using tools I didn't necessarily know, trying to make something good, and I found like through the frustration, like I was like, okay, this is now okay, but you sometimes gotta be frustrated until,
I mean, it's part of the process.
It's 100% part of the process.
Especially when you're working with technology.
Yeah.
Constantly troubleshooting.
Oh, and things crash all the time, and like you lose work, and you're just like, I thought this was going to be easy. If you think it's going to be easy, it's not going to be easy.
Prepare. That should be in your contingency.
Yeah. So that one was fun. I think Mural Fest, the VR walk was cool. I got to do a piece for that, just like an abstract blob. A lot of blobstracts in my life.
When was that?
That was actually over the pandemic, and
Yeah, because I wasn't around then.
I don't think so. No, that was it was for like the Winter Arts, previous. I
Winter
think.
Arts Fest, probably
it was
the
the first
first
one.
iteration of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which started from the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, so people could like walk around and like socially distance, and also, but at least it kind of still experience the city.
Talking about, your previous collaborations, someone who has worked with a lot of different people in the community, what kind of environment and who do you think you need to be in order to have a successful collaboration?
Kindness is number one. Be kind. Check your ego at the door, for sure. Everyone's trying to make a good piece, but and everyone's trying to, like, the goals are like the same ends. Everyone has the same ends. I think that's important. Be nice to the techs too, because they're the ones that are going to make you look good, right? I think when you're collaborating too, you also have to check your expectations. Like, at the beginning, it's good to set them with each other, but also leave some room for like some malleability, because some really extraordinary stuff comes through there. Yeah, and I know it's not going to be perfect either. Like, it's never going to be. I think I always have a vision in my head that it's going to be like the most amazing thing, but then it's like it's going to be like two rungs below that. But then what I'm trying to make is like, something that's not probably even like doable.
So what you're saying is set the bar really, really high.
Yeah.
And then be okay that it's going to be a couple of rungs lower.
Yeah.
But then that's actually quite amazing and excellent.
For everybody who's watching it,
Yeah.
they have no idea that they just think that's what you intended to do.
Yes.
Right? And also know that like the people that do come and see like your work, some of them will be artists. So, and those people will obviously have like the higher critique because they kind of understand what's going on. But for like the basic run-of-the-mill folks who just want to like have a new experience or check something out, it's like their weekend and they're just like, oh, I want to go, see the show. Like they're stoked. They're stoked to leave the house. They're like excited to like see something done in the city where it feels like, it might be a little culturally, like to them it's like they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like,
this is amazing.
So they're just happy.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, you're there to provide an experience for folks. I think that's, and then, yeah, when you're collaborating, like also a lot of people will take point, like a lot of the time I'm helping people achieve their vision. So then that kind of puts me more in like a kind of tech worker type of vibe, if you understand what I'm saying.
No. What does that mean?
I guess like you become like an art worker. So like your job is to like try to fulfill their vision.
Right.
Right? And so if you can do that and they're happy, and the cool thing about that sometimes is that like you get to learn a lot of stuff that you can bring back into your practice. So I'm always like, I don't mind doing stuff for folks, getting their dream out and like being frustrated because, I can bring this back to what I want to do. And, I can see how that can like lead there.
There's always something to be learned in every project.
Oh, yeah.
And even if it might not be fulfilling necessarily to your own personal creative endeavors, there are things that could be learned from that experience that can then be applied directly to the next creative thing that you do on your own.
So when I started VJing and then I was doing it for a while, I ended up because of that, I got a job working in like animation. And I was like, oh, I can sit here and actually like learn all day and get paid for it, but the work is like, I kind of thought about it like schoolwork. Like these are the projects that like the instructor gives you to do to learn. And that like helped so much, right? Just like the intricacies of like how to do visual art. I was doing like compositing, so that was like a big, like how to light things properly, how to, make cool textures and visual effects and whatnot. And since it's cartoons, it's like also pretty fun, right? And it also taught me like a bit about stress management within like deadlines. And then I'm like, you can always miss a deadline. but when you're doing like a theater show, you can't miss a deadline, of course, because
the show must go on.
The show must go on.
People are there in the seats.
Yeah, I find like theater shows and like live production to be like way more stressful, because like things can be pushed back. That's it. You know, like people are going to see whatever you have, right? But when it comes to like TV or just like working on your own stuff, like you can just set it.
I love that in your evolution as a creative and as an artist, like it seems like you just stumbled into and then rolled with whatever was in front of you as like a learning experience, but also as like the next step of your art making practice that then informed the next thing.
Yeah.
Would you say that, you know, you had a goal or a vision in mind that you were trying to achieve, or that you're just rolling with it and these things are unfolding?
Just rolling with it, for sure. I still don't think I have a vision. I think it's just like, what do I want to do now? I mean, I can't really think too far in advance. I don't have like that type of like mental capacity.
Anything can happen, man. You put that out there and then it's like, flip the script.
Yeah,
life.
Exactly. Like things always pop up that are like, you know, external circumstances that you can't control. So you just, I don't know, I take what I can get, and then I just like see what can come of it, and then connections kind of get built because of that, right? I find that like posting work was always interesting because people would then hit me up to do like a music video or like do, you know, work with them on a show, and then you would run into stuff. So I recently worked with Ruby Singh with Michelle Law.
Yes.
And that was a fun show.
Shout outs to the both of them.
We it was quite beautiful collaboration. But Michelle and I ran into Ruby at a pizza shop at like midnight on the drive. Yeah. And Ruby was like, "Oh hey, I wanted to talk to you guys about something." And I was like, "Oh yeah." So I'm thinking about doing the show. It's coming up. And I was thinking about asking you two. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was just like a run-in, you know, and then it became like a great collaborative project.
And that came from him seeing something you posted.
Yeah, well, I did a show with Ruby. I think like some ambient show before, but yeah, I've done like album work for Ruby in the past through Sensing Waves Records a long time ago. So I think he kind of, Ruby and I have known each other for a while, so it kind of worked out. But yeah, I think it was just like we were there, he was there, right time, right place. And this was a pizza shop. Yeah. At midnight. Yeah. Aww. It was pretty funny.
I would love to know if we were to create a time capsule for the future generations, especially the future Van City creative scene. Oh. You know, to look back on this year, this era of life and the creative scene of Van City, what are 3 things from, you know, all the stuff that you've created, you've made, you've been a part of that you would want to put into this time capsule? And it doesn't actually have to be like an actual past project or something like that. It could be a sentiment, a word, it could be an object, but 3 things that you would put into this 2025
This is a deep question.
This
is a great question.
Yes.
That I'm drawing a blank on.
Ooh.
I think this podcast should be in there.
Okay, this episode specifically?
This specific episode. Don't forget.
Yeah.
I think all of them, because I think this is such a great archive for like what's going on culturally within the city. I mean, there's so many good festivals and so many good productions that people do. Like, I think Formfest is great. I think
Festival of Recorded Movement.
Yeah, that's so cool to combine like film and dance together. And like Vancouver, as you know, like has an extremely talented dance scene.
Okay, but narrow in the focus, fam.
Sorry.
We're going 3 things. You said this episode.
Yeah, and then if you could grab all of the concert flyers for a year, throw them in, because that's one thing. I think poster art is awesome now.
I haven't collected enough of it.
They're so good.
Yeah.
And just like it would be like such a big stack.
Okay, cool.
Concert
I like
posters.
That.
And
concert posters.
The Stroopwafel ought to go in there too.
Yes! Shout outs to Johnny, to Coyotes Can't Surf, to everyone who's tuned in on the show, to little Zia who's been passed out here on the ground. It's heated floors.
Heated floors.
You can't blame her. Laine, thank you so much for your time,
Thanks for having me.
your stories,
Appreciate it.
your sweetness, your dad jokes.
You're welcome.
You know, it's been lovely, and it's been really cool to like recount on the things that you've done and wherever life is going to take you next.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Shout out to all of y'all who've tuned in. We appreciate you. Once again, this has been another episode of Van City Beats, Eats, and more.